Hello, my beautiful friends. I'm your host, Leah Cari.
And I'm Cari Kenzie. Welcome to Shift Happens. Discover the leader within. This podcast is designed to disrupt the way you live, lead, and love. At Shift, we challenge traditional narratives and believe that inner wisdom is the key to every decision.
Are you ready to explore a new paradigm of both living and leading? We'll dive deep into our innate strengths as women: compassion, curiosity, intuition, grace, vulnerability, and love. The shift, it's about to get real. Rediscover the power within and transform your life. Stay tuned. It all starts now. Hello, beautiful friends. How are you? We are so excited for the show today. Welcome. Welcome to Shift Happens. We are your hosts, Leah Cari and Cari Kenzie. And we've got a question for you today. Have you ever felt like you're not truly being heard? Like no matter what you say, your words just don't land the way that you want them to. And if so, you're not alone. And chances are there's a filter of fear that's standing in your way. Because here's the thing. When fear creeps into, and it does, and it will, when it creeps into the way that we express ourselves, it changes everything. Instead of speaking with clarity, confidence, or empathy, we hold back. Or we run in circles. This is what we do. This is what I just did this morning. We soften our truths, we lower our volume, and we shape our words around what we think other people want to hear. We make assumptions on what they're capable of hearing, right? And when we do that, we dilute not only our power, but we rob them of theirs. And then we lose our voice. And so today in this episode, we're going to unpack that filter of fear, the need to people please, the fear of conflict, the worry about sounding not good enough, the concern that we might be upsetting, right? What do they call the upsetting the apple cart or something? There's no apple or carts, right? Right? And we're going to talk about why those filters show up that are holding you back, and most importantly, how to break through them so that you can finally speak your truth with confidence. So we both believe that it's time that we stop, or we get better at sharing who we really, really are, because when you speak unfiltered, your voice not only gets heard, it gets felt. So let's dive in the show today. Welcome, Cari.
Oh my gosh. Well, your apple cart thing. Do you remember when we were kids? I don't know. Such an 80s baby, where it was like a legit little farm and they had like little cart with apples in it. That's literally what I saw when you were setting the apple cart. You're like, there's no apples of cart. I'm like, but there was. And I had the toy that allowed us to do it. No, I think it is such an impactful conversation. Like I have two things that come to mind immediately when you were talking about that. One, I know as leaders, as women, as humans, let's just say, yes, there has been a moment in time when you have sat, I don't care if it's on the edge of your bed, I don't care if it's in an office, and inside your mind, you have literally been screaming out, why can't you just freaking hear me? Like we've all had those experiences where it's like, oh my God, I've had this conversation and we keep saying the same thing, but like nothing's happening. Why can't you hear me? I know I've had that experience, right? And I know that clients have had that experience, and I know leaders have that experience, and I know women very much have that experience. And it is so accurate, right? Like this static, this fear, this whatever thought process we have creates almost like a plane of glass that sits in between. Mm-hmm. And while you're speaking words in one way, right? You're speaking words, they're getting caught and they're just being popped back to you, and they're not even landing on the other person.
Mm-mm.
right? But then there's like two sides to this. And the other side is, boy, how often do we actually say what we mean?
Really,
Not very often.
really. Think about that, you guys. Think about it. How often do you actually say what you truly, truly mean?
No, we sugarcoat or we dance around or we don't get to the actual point. And what I would say is that, and we've experienced a lot of this over the course of the past week, just in relationships and business relationships and all the things where it's like you might have a concern around something that's happening. And you ask a lot of questions around the thing that needs to be said without actually saying the thing that needs to be said.
Mhm.
But when you put out, and I've had this message go out you know what? We just need to have an open, honest conversation. And the response back, that's the only kind I want.
Yep.
Because that is the only kind that's wanted. Right? If we could you just actually tell me exactly what it is? And I think the people who work for you, the people who love you just want that. Can you
Yep.
just tell me exactly what I can do something with exactly what it is that you want to say?
Yep.
I can't do anything with a whole lot of fluff that happens around the edges because I'm just making a whole lot of assumptions around what I think it is that you mean.
1,000%. Or we'll say, if you wouldn't mind, would it be too much of a
Mm-hmm.
trouble to kind of maybe do this? And then
Mm-hmm.
you're all aghast when they actually don't do what you kind of maybe should have maybe asked them maybe to do. Right? Like,
Right?
why was I not clear? No,
Right?
you were not.
We're
You were
not.
not. No, no, you were not. And yet we all do this, and I do this. And so when we think about the reasons why, I kind of like this idea, this filter that we speak through.
Mm-hmm.
And so, let's just talk about them a little bit. Let's just talk about the reasons why we filter our voice, whether it's because we don't want to be rejected, because we want to be quote unquote pleasing, because we don't want to disrupt this apple cart, because we don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable, as if
Mm-hmm.
we know what they can handle and what they can't. I'm guessing what they can handle is just running in laps around the truth without
Mm-hmm.
actually ever landing. That can be
Yeah.
exhausting, right? So
Yep.
tell me what you think about that. Like there's so many fears that we have around not actually telling the truth. And where I want you to come full circle with this is the truth is always the most honest thing. It's
Mm.
when we don't tell the truth that to protect the innocent, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're actually not being honest. So,
Well, and so let's just take this all the way back because I can't tell you how many people have at some time in their early childhood been told they were too much. It's too much. Can you be quiet? They're sleeping. Could you not talk so loud because you're going to disrupt your brother? Could you not? Right. And so just even as a young child, this is kind of something that was built in.
mhm,
And we don't even realize how much we have lobbed onto this, grabbed onto it, and run full speed ahead
mhm,
without realizing the only reason they said that is because my brother was asleep in the next room. Or the only reason why, is because they were upset at that time. It had nothing to do with me. But
mhm,
we've held that and we carry that forward because we've just misconstrued the value of who we are, like that your voice is actually meant to be heard,
mhm.
that you're meant to express, that you are meant to hold truth for yourself, for other people, by the way. Because
Yeah.
when you hold truth for yourself, you're holding truth for them.
Yes.
And we don't do that.
Mhm,
And it's not, I would even say it's like, and this is why I started with it. There's two different kinds, right? Because some people like, I say it, they don't hear me. Well, you may say it and they don't hear you because one, you've got that static that's happening in between the two of you because you don't think you're worthy of being heard,
mhm,
because you don't think what you have to say is valuable, right? Or you truly believe that no matter what I say, they're not going to listen to me, they won't respect me, and somebody always steals my idea anyway, right? So we just create a little bit of static. And then the other way of you're actually not saying it. You think you are, right? But like you said, you're dancing around the topic the whole dang time.
Mhm.
And that is because you're worried somebody's going to leave you, somebody's not going to love you, you're going to lose them. I know as a business owner, that was a huge thing for me, right? If I say something, if I hold them accountable, they're going to leave.
Mhm.
They're going to leave. So I'll dance around it and I'll keep them comfortable. I'll just do it. I'll just do it myself.
Right.
Don't you love that one, by the way?
I do. I love that one. Yes.
What do you say to that, Leah?
Well, I would say in addition to that, like if we're going back there, like we have been conditioned in a school system that makes
Yes.
you raise your hand to speak.
Thank you.
Right. And I get it. Like I get the structure that's required. We can't have everybody just speaking what they want, but there are rooms for that that don't exist now as an adult.
You know what's fascinating? I just want to throw this in just as you said that, right? When they make you raise your hand, sorry, I'm going down right now. When they make you raise your hand, do you ever listen to the other person? Are you so anxious about raising your hand and what it is that you're going to say that you don't want to forget what it is that you're going to say so that you get stuck in your head so you never learn the art of listening?
No. Oh my gosh, yeah. So good. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just fascinating to me. But I love
Or
that, Leah.
right, or they'll interrupt, right? Because they'll be so afraid that they won't remember because they typically don't, and as if they won't ever have another good idea or another good question, right? So if they don't
Yes.
blurt it out, then all of their wisdom is gone and lost, right?
Yes.
So they become interruptive, because they don't believe in themselves to ever generate another idea or another question. And so with
Mm.
their hands up, one, we're denying our ability to actually speak. And again, these rooms, these classrooms don't exist once we graduate, and yet we're still confined in them,
Yes, thank
right?
you.
Um, and we don't learn to listen either because we've asked for permission too much to be heard,
Mm.
that we've never had an opportunity to actually listen on the other side, to your point. So we're not only having to reprogram this fear filter, but we're having to reprogram um, the requests that were made of our childhood
Yeah.
by our parents to be quiet because Johnny's sleeping, or the requests of our teachers to raise your hand because we can't have 20, 22 students, however many students are in a class, all talking at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you've had to ask permission to speak. You've had to ask permission to go to the bathroom. You've had to ask permission to
Favorite.
right to do anything,
Yeah.
to exist even almost. And so then the question is, if you're still in those rooms,
Mm-hmm.
where are you needing permission to exist?
Mm.
Right? Because I think when you give, I think maybe I would love to know your feedback on this. When you give yourself permission to exist, wouldn't you also be giving yourself permission to speak?
1,000%. Right? 1,000%.
Hmm.
And that whole like sitting in the boxes, right? Where are you continuously sitting in the boxes? And where
Hmm.
is it that you need permission? Too often, we already know what to say, but we're looking for permission in order to speak it, which is why we have to reach out. I did this myself. I knew exactly the next step I needed to take in my organization. I knew exactly the next step to take, and I didn't do it. And I hired somebody in because I needed validation. Because am I the only one who's thinking this? I needed validation in order to be able to exist in the experience that I was having. I knew what to do. I knew what to do, but I didn't give myself permission to be able to stand in the truth of what I knew,
Hmm.
because I didn't feel like I had enough. I was enough to just be the one who stood there and said, you know what? It's not working. It's not working.
Hmm.
And I did that back in the day. Right. And then everything turned out the way it needed to, but it took like how much longer in order to make that happen? I don't know. It's just fascinating. So when you go into this permission thing and you go into this existence, how are you existing in your organization? How are you existing in your family? Are you?
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's a question.
Yeah. Yeah. And where, when you were saying that too, I mean, it comes full circle back to our conversation this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where are we excusing
Mm-hmm.
our need to do research
Mm-hmm.
To look, and I'm all about the research, right? But where are we excusing our own opinion
Mm-hmm.
and getting validation of our own opinion so that we can bring that forward?
Well, see,
And,
now
and we, yeah,
let me just say this to you right now, because after this conversation this morning, that was an opinion. So
yeah,
there's a difference, okay? So there's a difference. That wasn't an opinion, that was a truth that you felt. That is a wisdom that was within you. You were like, this doesn't feel good. Right? And when it doesn't feel good, it gets to be expressed. And in that expression, it's not an opinion.
yeah.
And this is where I think leaders
Ooh,
get
so
confused.
good, so good. Break
Okay?
this
Because they're
down. Break
like,
this down.
this is my opinion. And my clients know, and I don't give opinions. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna, I'm never going to give you an opinion because you have to live in your own truth. You just do. And so if it's an opinion, it's not going to feel true to you.
Hmm.
If it's an opinion, right, then you might have to go out and like do the research. But when it feels like this is just something that I really feel strongly about, that's where that wisdom, that's where that truth kind of resides within you. And because you think it's an opinion, you feel like you need to validate it,
Hmm.
right? When you feel like it's an opinion, you feel like you need to validate in order to justify the thing that you know that you need to bring forward.
Hmm.
It's not an opinion, and you don't have to have hard facts around your truth in order to stand in it.
Did you all hear that? It's so good, you guys, because to differentiate between
Oh,
opinions and truth, right? You know that you're in opinion land, right? With yourself when you're seeking other people's opinion. And here's what else was going to be fascinating about that. When you get differing opinions,
mhm,
okay, and you become charged in it, it's because you know that it was always a truth
mhm, mhm,
that you're trying to validate outside of you.
mhm,
And the only way that you can validate it is within you.
mhm.
And you don't need other people to validate your truth. So if
No.
you're just opinion seeking and you're just getting research, know it, know it. Know that if you get charged by it, if they say something other than what you want to hear, you probably didn't need to seek their opinion in the first place.
Because here's the thing, an opinion is not yours.
Yeah,
If it's an opinion, it was never yours.
right.
I have an opinion. Whose did you pick up then? Because
Right.
that's not yours.
Yes. Yes. So good. So good. And
Okay.
so then let's bring this forward a little bit.
Yeah.
When you now we differentiate between opinions and our
Hmm.
truth,
Yep.
okay, and our truth. How much time are you trying to get your opinions heard or
Mhm.
your truth heard? What are you bringing forward? And I'll ask you, are there different filters? Are there different fear filters, or are they all the same?
Well, now that's a great question. That's a great question because what I feel when you were like, is it an opinion or is it truth? You're going to feel different in each of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And an opinion, you're going to feel a little wobbly in,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're just going to feel a little wobbly in because it's not solid within you.
Mm-hmm.
A truth that you feel, a truth that you feel and that you have the ability to bring forward is going to feel there's just a little bit more solidity to it. It's the only way I can describe it, right? You're going to
Mm-hmm.
feel a little more shaky in an opinion. You're going to feel a little more solid in a truth.
Yeah.
They're both going to be scary to bring forward. An
Mm-hmm.
opinion, I guarantee you are going to throw an opinion out faster than you'd ever throw a truth out. That's why we look for opinions because
Uh-huh.
I throw that out like nobody's business, right? But a truth, something that's true to me, that's a judgment. That's a
Mm-hmm.
fear of rejection. That's a fear of if I truly bring this forward, I'm bringing forward an authentic something in me for them to be able to see, and that could lead to damage for me, right? Because when you're bringing forward that truth, you're bringing forward your value. And if
Yes.
you don't have confidence in the value of who you are, you're going to be worried that somebody else is going to be able to diminish it.
Mm-hmm.
When you understand your value, you can bring forward the truth and not care necessarily what the other side is going to bring back to you because you know you can hold solid in the confidence of what it is that you're bringing forward. And
Mm-hmm.
then you can have conversation around it
Mm-hmm.
because you take the personal aspect out of it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. So in opinions, right? It's why you kind of said it's kind of shaky ground. It's because they're borrowed. It's because they're right. They're inherited. They're recycled opinions, other people, and we bring them forward probably more quickly because if they reject that opinion, right, or offer up something counter to that, then it's okay because it really wasn't yours in the first place.
Oh, I could go get another one.
I could go get another one, right? Right. And it's why we do all of this opinion gathering. And we even say it to make our case. Well, everyone would say that. Well, who are all the everyones? Right. And we think that if we have more people and we have more proof, then it must be more true. But I want you to consider that if you need other people, more people to make it more true, then is it any more true for you, or do you just have more proof that you really still don't believe?
That's a great one.
That it's not even really yours. And so could the work be, instead of going to find all the other opinions, to bias and confirm the one that you want to believe? Can you sit with it a little bit and really try to figure out what it is that you believe for a hot second? Take all of that time that you would spend trying to gather up opinions that are biased in your favor, and really get grounded in what you believe to be true.
Yeah.
Maybe there should be more work on that. And what just came, and I've got goosebumps, is when you're not being heard, when you're screaming, and when you're frustrated that you're not being heard, I want you to ask you, are you hearing yourself? Are you spending the time to listen to you, or are you spending more time listening to everybody else's opinions so that you can maybe begin to believe in what you wanted to believe in?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love it.
Thoughts, friend?
I love it. No, I think that's brilliant. I think it's beautiful. And I think that's the call forward, right? The call forward really is in are you listening to you?
Yes.
Right. And are you allowing, and just think of how much time and energy could be saved if you just listened to you and brought that forward succinctly and powerfully and confidently, and allowed the conversation to happen around that. That's the call forward.
That is the call forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need your voice, leaders.
Please.
We need your honest voice, which means that the invitation is always to self. It's always a return home to you, to your voice, to the essence of who it is that you are, to your worth. Because when you can know that voice, and when you don't need to collect a lot of other people's opinions, which again is just them borrowing the voices of all the other people, we can really come forward with the authentic vulnerability that is missing in leadership. And that is what we are efforting on this podcast, and all the work that we do in the offerings and the programmings that we bring to you as leaders. Because if we don't have that voice, if we don't have the essence of who it is that you are, we don't have you at all.
I love it. I love it. And how it's needed more than ever.
Oh,
more than ever.
More than ever. Okay, beautiful friends. Have an amazing one. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
You have been listening to Shift Happens. Discover the Leader Within with Leah Rolling and Cari Kenzie, where we help you reconnect with your inner leader. Learn to trust your instincts and live with authenticity and confidence.
Tune in every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time to Shift Happens on Transformation Talk Radio for more insights, inspiration, and actionable strategies to live and lead, not only in purpose, but on purpose. It is time to embrace a life and a leadership style that is true to you. For more information, visit shift.life.